All right, and good evening, everyone. It is 7:30 p.m. On Tuesday, June 20th, 23. Sorry, and I am delighted to call to order the Fridley School Board business meeting. I invite you, if you wish, to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the agenda. Board members, are there any changes or revisions or discussion on the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the agenda as is, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We have an agenda. And actually, having just approved it, I am going to resequence one thing given the audience that we have here today and the average age now of the audience, which is much lower than normal. We will reorganize one item on the agenda and bring it to the top. And so I would like to start, Superintendent Heil, if you want to say anything about bus safety.
Yes, good evening, Chairman Eisner and board members. This evening we want to acknowledge our bus safety poster award winners, and that'll be with Cindy McKay. It's Kristen Joy. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. In transportation, you are required to do it twice a year to teach bus safety. The second time can be this poster contest, which is just a creative, different way of teaching it, and they can learn a lot. Plus, we get little artists that come about. I've been doing this for many years, and I see artists move forward. It's really kind of cool. But they do a really nice job. All the posters are on there, but we're going to announce the ones that are here, and they're going to bring their posters up. We presented their rewards over at Stevenson because Stevenson did a slam dunk this year and did a really nice job of promoting it. I will give Miss Matheson a really good deal on that. She promoted it very big, and the kids felt that. So they did a really nice job. So, all right, first up.
And nice and loud, and we are very excited to see these.
Okay.
Into the microphone.
First up, we have Sina Schimmels.
Sina. Look at that.
Sina,
Want to hold your poster up?
you want to hold it up?
Come stand over here where we can see it. Yeah, show everybody.
We need to have her stand up there.
Yeah, first she's showing the audience. That's good. And now show us.
Good job, Sina.
Very nice.
Miss Cindy has a question for you. We've asked this question since I got your poster. I want to see your poster. I brought this, came to my attention. These birds, they're singing in the tree. I've seen that. Those notes are on the tree.
Nice.
Music notes. Yeah,
Birds
I really
do
liked
sing.
That was kind of cool that they gave the birds credit. Good job.
Nice touch.
Yay.
Well done.
All right. Next up, we have Gabriel Segby.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
Come first and then turn it around.
nice.
Very nice. Good perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very good.
Yeah, perspective.
You did a very nice
Good
job.
job, Gabriel.
Nice.
Thank
Gabriel.
you.
Okay. Next up, we have Amber Coleman.
Go on, bro.
Oh,
Good job, Amber.
done.
Second grader and took first place.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
All right. Next, we have Sudesi Ahmed.
Oh, look at the
Oh,
color
look
on
at
that. Very
That's
nice.
amazing,
Is a kindergartner going to first grade next
Wow.
year.
Wow.
Yes, yes. That's just
Nicely done.
Good job, this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next we have Emberly Vu. She is, or was in second grade, going into third.
Let's see.
Good job.
Oh, very nicely done. Wow, good color. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going. That's good.
Good way to hold it up high.
You can take that home.
All right. Now we have
So, are we doing these now?
first one more.
One more.
Yep. Now we have Aaliyah Pendleton.
All right, yeah. Oh, look at that.
Good direction.
Very clever.
I know.
Yes.
Right,
Nice.
split, yeah. That's
Very
creative.
nice.
Very creative.
Yes. Good job. Okay. Not at the top. Okay. Next we have Olive Peterson.
Oh, Olive.
All right.
Olive Peterson, she is a first grader, or was a first grader. And she also won second in district and fourth in the state level.
Wow.
Wow.
Good job, Olive.
Congratulations. Let's see.
Come around. Yeah.
I'm gonna have her show it to you. You wanna show them their picture?
Wanna see it,
I
yeah.
like the rainbow in the sky. There.
Nice.
And then turn around and go over there.
Oh,
Wow.
look at that. Here, step forward a little bit so they can see. Step forward.
Can you keep going?
Look at that. Very
That's
colorful.
amazing, yeah.
And so when they go to state, the state patrol and MAPT get together and they get to take child and a guardian get to go to the St. Paul Saints game for free with T-shirts and $10 to spend.
Nice.
So this is their contract. So we're gonna go on August 20th and it's Marble Day.
Ooh.
Congratulations.
Oh, it's Pedersen. Well, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, is that all right? There you go. I liked your person too. You were trying that person. That's good. You can take this too.
Amazing.
All right. Now we have Aria Crowder.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was first grade. There's your poster.
You want to show it back here?
Is that her birthday?
Show it to everybody. She's the queen.
Might be.
Hold it up high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you go up in front
Okay.
and show it to them?
Wow.
Oh,
Hold it up.
Amazing.
Oh, beautiful.
Very nice.
That's
Good job, Aria.
amazing,
Very
yeah.
nice.
She
Yeah.
also, her and her family can come to the Saints. We invite the whole family to go. We'll be paid for two of them.
Oh,
Good
how fun.
job.
Congratulations.
So,
I wanna go
you wanna
too.
give this to your mom?
Oh!
That's
You okay?
It's all right.
Good job.
Don't worry. That happens all the time.
Very nicely done.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. Next we have Cooper Young, who was in kindergarten going into first.
Cooper's ready. He's ready.
There's your poster. You want to show the board first? Then you can turn around.
Let's see. Hold it up.
Look
Hold it
at
up.
that.
Good job,
Nice.
Cooper.
Beautiful work.
Yeah.
And mom wants a picture.
Oh, heck yeah.
Right.
Good job.
There
Thank
you go. Nice.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much.
He has a school
And
bus.
then you guys get to go to the Saints.
He has a school bus.
Yeah, they all of them did family.
Do they get a
All
school
right. Next we have Ocean Hernandez, fourth grade going into fifth.
Go, Ocean.
Congratulations.
Going into fifth.
Oh, wow.
That's
Let's see. Hold it up. Oh,
Wow.
Come closer. Yeah.
look at that.
Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Very
That's a
nice.
huge bus. Wow.
Glorious.
You won before?
Yeah, you can tell.
She's good at this.
She's got this.
Congratulations,
So
Ocean.
you too get to go to the Saints game with us. So there you go.
Ocean.
I just really want to thank all of you parents and stuff for bringing them here tonight and celebrating this thing. It's really a small thing in their lives, but a very important thing as far as I'm concerned, because it's all about bus safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And I just want to also echo that sentiment. Thank you, families, for coming and for bringing your children and letting them share their talent with us. I'm delighted to see all that artistic skill, far more than I ever had. So you guys are off to a wonderful start. Congratulations, everyone.
And thank you for energizing the room. We really appreciate the
Yes.
energy. It was lovely.
Yes.
Yes.
You do not need to stay out. We did this first so that you're free to leave. And
I mean, our meetings are pretty exciting.
it only gets better from here.
All right.
Thank you
you.
again for coming,
Thank
everybody. Thank
you.
you. Have a good night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Cooper's like, I wanna
We'll let
stay.
things quiet down here.
We have to go already, but what if I miss something?
All right. On to equally exciting things. We'll resume our normal agenda, and the first thing under spotlights and recognition is our Employee of the Month, Dr. Heil.
All right, thank you, Chair Meisner and board members. It's with pleasure I would like to introduce the June 2023 Employee of the Month. Tiffany Johnsrud has been a high school cook manager for the last 2 school years. Despite all of the staffing and food shortages, she continues to have a smile and a positive attitude. You can frequently see her operating the cashier station at lunchtime or helping restock the salad bars to ensure the students have as many choices as possible. She is willing to pick up extra tasks when short-staffed to ensure that the team is supported and our students have the best possible meal. She uses creativity and previous experience to suggest new recipes for the grab-and-go sandwich and salads line. Tiffany faces all challenges heads-on and communicates effectively with her team, even when she was given minimal notice that the high school was shifting to 3 lunches instead of 1 lunch. Tiffany's attitude, strong work ethic, and commitment to our customers is part of the reason why the high school kitchen has been successful this year. And that was written by Renee Arbogast, the Director of Nutritional Services.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Tiffany, and thank you for your service.
Is it okay if I keep going, Chair Meisner?
Yes, please.
All right, we would like to introduce the retirees for the 22-23 school year. We have Dr. Valerie Anderson, who served as our early childhood family education coordinator for the past 5 years. Next, we have the one and only Sue Hansen, who started in our special education department and worked in our transition program before becoming the marvelous administrative assistant for the activities department. Sue Hansen has worked in Fridley for 22 years. Michelle Stevens has served in our community ed department and Tiger Club as an assistant program director. She has given us privilege of working with us in Fridley for the past 10 years. And last but not least, we have James Wilka, who has served as a paraeducator for Fridley Middle School and lunch supervisor at Stevenson Elementary, and he worked in Fridley for 10 years. So we'd like to say congratulations to our retirees this year.
Indeed. Congratulations.
Next in our year in review, we would like to share, we had a visit from Commissioner Willie Jett. On May 25th, the Minnesota Department of Education Commissioner Willie Jett visited Fridley High School. Okay. As part of his goals to visit all the districts and charter schools in Minnesota, Fridley High School students shared their experiences here at Fridley and asked him questions about his goals and dreams for the education of Minnesota. And our students did put him in a hot seat. He was wondering where we got these students from, actually. He wasn't prepared. So that was really nice that he came to visit us already. Next, we have graduation of 2023. This year, we celebrated 212 graduates. These students participated in graduation at the Fridley High School football field this year on June 1st. Among the 212 graduates, there were 7 students, including that were the MCs, student speakers. We had 10 full IB diploma candidates that completed 6 DP courses and examinations, theory of knowledge course, and an essay of 4,000 words, independent extended essay, and participated in creativity, action, and service activities. We had 8 students in the IB Scholars Program. It took at least 4 IB DP courses and examinations. We had 7 Presidential Education Awards receiving 3.5 GPA and scored at or above the 80th percentile on their ACT or SAT. We had 4 students graduating with their associate's degree. 26 students graduated with honors of a GPA of 3.25 to 3.49. 27 students graduated with high honors with a GPA of 3.5 to 3.74. We had 20 students who graduated with the highest honor GPA of 3.75 plus and a minimum of 3 IBDP courses and examinations. 36 students graduated this year with an academic letter award. So congratulations to the incredible class of 2023 and best wishes in the future. Next, we want to share some of our celebrations that occurred in the district this year. The Area Learning Center celebrated 25 graduates in a ceremony at Fridley Community Center on May 25th. Each graduate was introduced by our teacher in special assignment, Nicole Musette, and their individual achievements were highlighted. The ALC allows for flexible schedules with individual learning plans, independent study, and options for credit while working. Congratulations to our ALC graduates on their hard work and perseverance. And that day, there was at least 3 or 4 students that found out that day that they were graduating, so it was really special. So now we're going to go to our littles. This year, preschool graduates celebrated their parents and teachers as they graduated. Are we ready for this? The future class of 2036. Each teacher celebrated their classes with songs and slideshows. Each student received a diploma, and they walked across the bridge to celebrate. Next, we have Stevenson's celebration. 4th grade scholars with their families on June 6th. The students displayed and shared their culminating K-4 IB project exhibition. Students shared why they chose these inquiries, what they learned, and what action they took to make our world a better place. At the conclusion, they celebrated with a picnic. Families joined outdoors. Students signed yearbooks, were given a certificate, and all guests enjoyed cupcakes. We wish our 4th graders the very best. Next, we have celebrating our Hayes 4th graders. At Hayes, they celebrated the 4th grade scholars in their incredible achievement of completing elementary school at Fridley Public Schools. This fun-filled day involved both school and grade level activities. As a school, 4th graders were celebrated with a t-shirt and a final walk around the circle. During the walk, the building erupted with cheering, high fives, signs of encouragement, and big smiles from proud families, staff, and scholars. In addition to the final walk, our 4th grade teachers and families planned a fun-filled afternoon. In the afternoon, it continued to kick things off. Scholars received a certificate of achievement in their classroom with families. After this acknowledgement, families joined scholars for a picnic lunch and a park play with fun activities. Later in the afternoon, an ice cream treat was served and a t-shirt signing took place. The fun wrapped up with traditional classroom tug-of-war tournament, and this friendly competition is always something our scholars look forward to. Next, we have scholars and families through so much laughter, fun, and a few tears with the closure of a chapter, had an absolutely wonderful afternoon. They felt incredibly proud of how the middle school Hayes scholars are going to be. Next, we have our beautiful 8th graders from the middle school. Our 8th graders celebrated the end of their middle school career on a Paddleford River boat cruise. Students dressed their best and started their day at Harriet Island for socialization and pictures with friends. They boarded the cruise and spent an afternoon cruising down the Mississippi River, seeing many historic sites. When they returned back to school, they received a certificate of completion and snacks donated by Quick Trip. It was a memorable day for all students to celebrate the end of their middle school years. So well done for all of our students who experienced that.
Well done indeed. Yeah.
So next we have another special recognition. We would like to recognize this evening Donna Perito. We are saying goodbye to our board member, Donna Perito, who is retiring from the school board. Donna has served as a member of the Fridley School Board since January of 2016, when she was elected to replace another board member who did not run. As a parent of 2 current Fridley students and 2 alumni, Donna supported Fridley schools through volunteering at Stevenson Elementary School and Fridley Middle School. She won a re-election bid in 2023 and has served for 2 terms with the Fridley School Board. As an operations director for a local charter school, Donna brought a lens and an understanding of how schools operate and supporting both staff and students. During her tenure on the board, Donna served in all of the school board roles: chair, vice chair, treasurer, clerk, and director. She also served as a Fridley School Board representative at the Fridley Community Education Advisory Board, thank you, and as a member of the Fridley School Foundation Board of Trustees. Donna, we want to thank you for your service to our school board and your unwavering support of students, staff, families, and community of Fridley Public Schools. We wish you well as you move on to your new adventures, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
I suppose this is my turn to say something. So I just want to thank everybody for all the support. It's been quite a road. I have loved most every minute of it. There's times. I know my role will be well filled. I'm super excited for Sarah to take that up. I hope that's been announced yet, but if it hasn't, surprise! Just kidding. But I want to thank you for this opportunity. It's been great. It's an opportunity for me to step a little out of my comfort zone, and I've learned a lot. And Fridley's an awesome place to work and learn and be, and I'll still be around. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Donna.
Thank you, Donna, from all of the board, I'm sure. I speak for everyone when I say it's been great to have you. You've done a ton for the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is one more item on the agenda. It might be a little odd to have Dr. Heil continue on to that agenda item, so I will take over here for a moment, if you don't mind. The item on the agenda says recognizing Dr. Kim Heil, our superintendent, because as we all know, we've had to go through a superintendent search to replace Dr. Heil as she leaves to some neighborhoods to the north. I'm not saying the name.
Please do.
I'm not saying the name. That name shall not pass my lips.
Okay.
But I would like to take a minute to express our gratitude for the outstanding service and contributions of our superintendent, Dr. Kim Heil. So first, let me just describe some of Dr. Heil's impact on the Fridley School District. She has served our district for 5 years. More importantly, she has served as our leader for 5 years, not just as our top administrator, and that is an important distinction. You have been our leader. She was also the first African-American superintendent at Fridley Public Schools.
Wow.
She led the entire district on a path towards more inclusion, more respect, and more recognition for each individual by ensuring that every staff and every student had a voice, that each of us was given space. She led the way to Fridley being recognized as, for being the first district in Minnesota with an equity and inclusion policy. During her tenure, Fridley Public Schools, Fridley Preschool became authorized in the IB-PYP program, the pre-years, thereby making Fridley the first pre-K to 12th grade full IB continuum district in the state of Minnesota. So congratulations on that, Dr. Heil. Dr. Heil also had the distinct opportunity to lead our school district through the unprecedented and utterly disruptive COVID pandemic. She maintained a focus on our purpose to educate our babies, as she calls them, and to support our staff, to minimize the disruption, and serve the entire community to the very best of our ability. And we thank her sincerely for that. As many of you know, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And Kim led us to a better, more open, and engaging culture. She's proud that she established the 3 C's as her mantra: consistency, connection, and coherence. And she built that into Fridley's culture and into our leadership philosophy. Through this leadership, she strove to make Fridley Schools indeed the best place to learn and the best place to work. Personally, she has taught me a great deal, not just about education, but about ethical leadership. She has a candid, open approach that was so valuable and appreciated by most. I had everyone here, but appreciated by most people that she worked with. And you knew you were gonna get the unvarnished truth whenever she opened up the conversation with her famous line, "I'm just gonna be Kim here for a minute."
Go, Kim.
So, to close, I'm just gonna be Ross here for a minute and say, girl, we are gonna miss you. I can't do that very well. thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. Good, Chair Meisner. Thank you. That was really good. It was like, got a little soul in there for you, Mr. Meisner. So I just want to say thank you. So the work here, I mean, people say it all the time, but literally could not be done without the outstanding staff that we have here. And we all guide, I always say we're the tugboat that guides the big ship that keeps us going. And you couldn't ask for a better director team, better than an administration team that knows how to come together and rely on each other, tag out when they need to tag out, and have pure brilliance when we need to have that. So, and with our administrative team, director team, I also include my right hand, Lori Andler, in that, because we have received so much input from Lori, and Lori lets me know where I should be, what I should be doing, but besides that, also has that strategic mind to be able to guide us forward. So I thank you. We be Fridley, baby, and I bleed Fridley now, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Wah, wah.
Oh.
Budget.
So good.
Go, Craig, go. Go.
Keep the energy going, Craig.
Good evening, board members, Chair Meisner. I always seem to get like there's all these feel-good moments, and like, oh, now the budget. And luckily, we're not looking at something that's extraordinarily bad news here, so that I'm going to open with that. But board members and Chair Meisner, I come before you tonight to ask for adoption of the 23-24 fiscal year budget, and I will go through the detail of that right now. And at the end, that's what the eventual outcome of this presentation will be. Okay, so the 23-24 budget, the building block of everything that drives spending and revenue is our enrollment, and that's measured by two different things: ADMs and pupil units. ADMs are basically the bodies in the door. Pupil units are one ADM. Anybody who's below secondary counts as one pupil unit for each ADM, and every ADM from secondary is 1.2. And that's kind of the basis for how we get funded, and we also use that ADM to drive how we will staff, the number of individual teachers we need, things along that. It also drives our revenue. Our ADMs convert into pupil units, and that drives the basic general education formula, and I will talk about that later on. But it also drives money we get from the federal government and from local sources and from the state. So this graph is not going to be new to you guys. I've shown you this before, but this is the basis that we're building the 23-24 budget off of. If you look at this, our ADMs that I'm projecting for next year is 2,639. That's down roughly 27.58 from the 22-23 revised budget, but that's kind of the direction that things have been heading, and this based on the most recent data, this is kind of where I think things are going to end up for the next year. So the kind of overview of the revenue of what's going on in 23-24, the general education formula got an increase from the state in the last legislative session. It's up 4% to 7,138 from 6,863. So that the combination of the number of pupil units I'm projecting that will go down versus you balance that out with the increase, and we're looking at an increase of roughly $536,000 in funding as a result of that. On top of that, there's money tied for gifted and talented, for staff development, learning and development, and operating capital and LTFM. All those individual pieces are driven by our by our pupil counts. Each one of them have a different kind of dollar amount attached to them. Staff development and learning development are subsets of our general education revenue. We have to carve out a portion of that and use money for those pieces. Operating capital and LTFM are per pupil allocations. So when we're dealing with revenue going forward for the next fiscal year, there's kind of two buckets I would put things in. Things that are kind of known that we can easily calculate, and then things that are kind of we have to just estimate and won't really be known until the state gives us the official numbers for them. But the tax levy revenue, that number we know because that was what was set in the previous fall for that levy. So the 22-23 levy is what that establishes our revenue for this fiscal year going forward. So we know what those are, and we have some state aids that are based on kind of prior year enrollment or prior year expenditures. Those are like our compensatory revenue, our revenue for QComp. Those kind of lag a year. But then our compensatory revenue is also, I can estimate that, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be, and we kind of have to wait for the state to tell us. The same thing kind of goes with special education. Some federal sources of revenue. Some of that is based on on student population, but it lags a year, and so we kind of make a guess at it, but we don't really know what it is. And then there are some local sources of revenue that are unknown, but those are mostly pretty small pieces and not something that we really can. That's really going to affect the bottom line all that much. So for 23-24, the budget category, kind of the assumptions that I'm making going forward for this, the expenditure piece of this for overall for salaries and benefits, which is kind of by far the biggest chunk of the general fund. I'm projecting that based on the staffing complement that we established back in kind of February with the positions that were kind of the ESSER positions that were eliminated at that point. I'm taking that into account, and then I'm also projecting an amount for kind of step and lane increases that happen under the current contract, and then an amount for that contract settlement. How those contracts actually settle is kind of an unknown. I have to make a guess at it, and I've done that in the budget here. And then top from salaries and benefits, and there's also the non kind of people costs that we have to deal with. These are our lease agreements. Those generally tend to go up every year. Some of the big pieces that are in the budget that I'll run through are utilities. I'm projecting a 3% increase in that. One of the reasons that's not going up as much is that our previous facilities manager, Brian Brown, got us into a program where we could hedge our natural gas purchases for the winter. So basically we can kind of lock in a price early and have some predictability. It's kind of like budget billing you get on your electric accounts at home. And so we've done, through that program, I've locked in kind of next year's prices already, so I kind of have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be. And so that's why we're only doing a 3% increase there. Insurance is the one area that's going up quite a bit. Districts across the state, and this isn't medical insurance, this is property casualty and our kind of general liability insurance. I'm predicting a 10% increase in that. I've got a meeting with our insurance folks tomorrow that are going to kind of give me the rundown of what they think our increase is actually going to be. But one of the things I initiated was to put our insurance out for bid to all the. We didn't just renew with the same company. If we would have done that, Marsh McLennan tells me we would have been looking at a $100,000 increase, which is just kind of crazy. But 10% overall is kind of what I'm assuming in that, and we'll see what the number actually comes in at. And then transportation, our transportation contracts are in place through 23-24, and in that there's a 3.5% increase, and so that's kind of what the assumption I made on transportation costs were. So basically, run down kind of everything I said. We've got our revenue side. We've done projections for property taxes, so that's a knowable. The state aids piece, the state aids and the federal revenue piece, we've kind of made estimated guesses on those based on history and based on current data, and then kind of the other miscellaneous revenue pots. Just kind of looked at trend analysis for those, and this is like for student fees and for ticket sales for stuff at the auditoriums. I kind of looked at the past 3 years of history and made a projection based on what that looked like. And then on our expenses side, I kind of run through all these, but we've got salaries and wages, employee benefits, all the contracted and purchases services, and then supplies, equipment, and then kind of the other random smaller pieces. So when you look at the 23-24 adopted budget, this is the general fund revenue by source. But you can see by and large, 3/4 of our revenue come from the state, and that most of that money is our gen ed revenue. But this year we're going to see higher increases in our special ed cross subsidy funding based on legislation that had passed at the state, and the increase of the per pupil amount. The federal revenues percentage is 4.3. That's falling a bit because we're using the bulk of our ESSER funds in 22-23, and there's just be less available in 23-24. Property taxes are about 18.2%, and that's pretty stable. And then everything else is 0.1%, which is just kind of a smaller. That's our miscellaneous revenues, our program stuff. And then expenditure by type. There you could see here too. This is not kind of new information, but you can kind of see the breakdown of it. Employee costs, employee compensation, salaries and wages and benefits. That's about 73.8% of general fund spending in 23-24. Purchase services are around 18.3%, and then capital expenditures are 2.1. Supplies and materials are 3.5, and everything else, every kind of the generic stuff, the all other, that's 2.3. So based on that, here is the general fund summary for the budget I'm going to ask you to approve tonight. If you see this, our unobligated fund, unassigned fund balance at the start of the fiscal year is 6.83%. That's based on the 22-23 revised budget. Based on that, we're about $132,000 of a deficit between the two, but as a result of that, our unassigned fund balance drops to about 6.62%. Obviously there are still variables, how contracts settle with all the different bargaining groups. That's a variable in here. If that comes in higher than what I had assumed, that'll be something we'll have to adjust for. There's been kind of a landslide, I would say, of legislative changes this year that affect operations of school districts, kind of how we have to staff things and kind of how we have to negotiate with our bargaining units that I can't really develop a cost for. It's just there's too many unknowns to that. As we get more information from the state and we get clarification from other outside groups, we'll be able to tighten up those estimates a little bit more. But that's kind of the things that are hanging out there. I would anticipate we're probably going to want to come back in the fall and look at things. I know normally we revise the budget in kind of February, that time frame. I think this year we may want to look at it a little bit sooner. That's obviously the board's purview as well, but I just think that's kind of a good financial management piece that we may want to look at this year. But overall, our unassigned fund balance isn't going down. We're still below the 7%, the guidelines, but I honestly think the 22-23 unassigned fund balance will come in higher than this. I don't want to say how much, because I don't know exactly, but I think things are trending in that direction. And so, and we still have to have the student counts for 22-23, figure out what those are. Now that the school year is over with, we'll report all that to MD and we'll get that information back. But overall, I think we're on the path of fiscal stability, and it's something that we can continue to work for to get us back over that 7% going forward. The other fund budgets, I'll just run through these real quickly. The food service, the food service balance goes from about 1.1 million to 612,000. Most of that is a planned spend down. Around 230,000 is for the freezers at Hayes and Stevenson that they're currently installing right now. The expenditures are going up in this fund tied to commodity costs that we're seeing. The kind of food costs. If you go to the grocery store, you can see how much more things are than they were a year ago. That's kind of rolling through, and we're seeing that in our budgets too. So that's part of the reason that fund balance goes down. But honestly, when we were at 1.1 million, we were kind of at a level where MDE was going to request that we have a plan to spend that down, and I think we're doing that. And so that fund, I think, is still in good shape. The community education fund is something that I think there may be some. I may have to go back and look at the revenues and expenditures for this, because I talked with Stephen real briefly before this, and there had been reductions in this. When I pulled the data on this for the fund statement, I may have gotten something that's not correct on that, but I don't anticipate a $258,000 deficit there. I think it'll be something smaller. We just have to go back and look at that. I think we'll tackle that when the revised budget comes around. Otherwise, everything else in here, the capital projects fund, that's kind of the money that's part of our capital projects levy gets transferred into this fund and spent there. And you see we're kind of keeping expenditures within revenues there. So that fund balance is that's probably going to just kind of stay around that area. Our debt service funds that's kind of as we issue debt, we're paying that off, and we can levy for that, and that's where the revenue for that comes from. So that fund itself is pretty stable. And I think the medical dental insurance piece of this too is something else to highlight. We did have a 1% premium increase for our medical plan in 23-24, and part of that is to keep this balance where it is. There are other districts out there who went kind of with zero increases for the last couple of years, and now they're looking at 10, 15, 20% increases. We want to avoid. I think for everyone who's involved in the health plan, we want to make sure that doesn't happen here. We want to keep those rates kind of stable. We want to use our balances, but we don't want to use them up so much that the swing back is where we're seeing 10, 15, 20% increases. And so that's what we're budgeting for here. And then the trust and agency funds, this is our OPEB trust. That's for retiree benefits, and you can see that we are shifting some expenses out of the general fund into that OPEB to offset our retiree costs, and that's part of the reason that you see some of that fund balance usage going up here. But overall, we're still seeing healthy balances in those funds. So that's the bulk of my presentation. If folks have specific questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, that's what we got.
Actually, I do have one little detailed question. The freezers come out of the food operating budget, not the capital?
We can, yes, Chair Meisner, that's an option we have.
Oh.
It's not something, like, normally that's something that probably would be a capital expenditure, but because of the large balance we've got in the food service, and MDE will make us spend it down anyway.
Right.
They'll make us come up with a plan
It's a good
for it.
opportunity to use
So
those
we
funds.
might as well use it while we can, especially if it's something that's tied to provision of food service. I mean, obviously that's what you have to use that money for anyway, but it's something we knew that was coming, and Renee and the food service folks came up with a plan to do that, and I fully think it's a good use of those funds.
Yeah, and if you would please make a note, so October, November, let's do a budget refresh. You'll have some updated costs and enrollment, and I think that's a great thing for the board to look at.
Awesome.
I also have a quick question. So with the new free breakfast lunch, how would that affect for our enrollment? Are we thinking there's going to be a big bump in kids getting lunch breakfast? How many kids are we thinking that there's going to be a lot? Like, how many kids get meals right now? And does that have anything to do? Are we going to need staffing?
We've upped. Well, the staffing itself, the operations of the food service doesn't change as much as a result. It's just the state is now we're getting higher reimbursement rates for those meals than we were getting before, and those rates are built into the forecast here. I don't know, and I don't know if there was any specific adjustments made to the number of meals that we're assuming were going to be served. Right. From my perspective, that program doesn't essentially change the number. Like, we're still going to be providing the same number of meals we were beforehand. It's just we're still going to be cooking for X number of kids every day. It's just now we're going to be getting reimbursed by the state for it. There could be some uptick in utilization because people think it's free. Right. But by and large, I think the folks that are already using it are going to use it at the same levels, and we're not going to see that much more of an increase. But this is something that the food service folks have looked at and are aware of.
We will have additional kids eating, just like we did during COVID, so there'll be more kids eating than before. So.
Okay. Well, I know that they've looked at it. I know that they didn't just assume we're going to have the same number of kids that we were going to have before. We're projecting the impact of that program in the revenue and spending numbers that are here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you.
So we have reviewed the budget in the last meeting, and now here's the final review this meeting. Is there any other questions or comments about the budget? If not, we would entertain a motion to approve the budget for next year.
Motion moved to approve the budget.
We have a motion by Adam and a second by Anna. With no further discussion on the budget, all those in favor of approving the 2023-2024 budget as just presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And that passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is the resolution accepting gifts. Whereas School Board Policy 706 establishes guidelines for the acceptance of gifts to the district, and whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 states the school board may accept a gift, grant, or device of real or personal property only by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members. Therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Fridley Public Schools accepts with appreciation the following gifts received by the school district. The following person donated to Fridley High School, the Target Employee Giving, and an anonymous donor donated $14. Is there a motion to accept this resolution?
Motion to accept.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second to accept the gifts and thank the donors for the contributions. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Adam,
Aye.
Ms. Anna,
Aye.
Mr. Carnop,
Aye.
Mr. Meisner says yes, Ms. Pareto,
Aye.
Ms. Stark, and that is passed. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and to approve the consent agenda, and that includes the minutes of the work session and business meeting held on May 16th, 2023, and the special meetings and work session held on June 6th. There are new contracts, amendments, leaves of absence, resignations, retirements, and terminations, non-public reimbursement notification, and the 2023-24 rate of private transportation contracts. The MOA, the MOA for ECFE teacher hours for 2023-24. The dissolution of Summer Academy Joint Powers Agreement effective June 30th, 2023. And the Joint Powers Agreement with MDE for early childhood special ed programs from 2023 to 2028. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And that is passed. The next item on our agenda is the important future school board dates. The first item is district holiday, and buildings will be closed on July 4th. The Fridley Community Theater youth production of Dear Edwina Jr. will be July 7th and July 8th. July 7th at 7 p.m., July 8th at 2 p.m. in the Fridley High School District Auditorium. The Fridley Public Schools Board meeting, the next one will be July 18th. There's no early meeting in July. So our next board meeting is July 18th with a work session at 5:30, the open forum to address the board at 7 p.m., and this business meeting at 7:30 p.m. here at the Fridley Community Center. Finally, the Fridley Community Theater presents The Addams Family. You rang? I was going to try out for that part. Come on. My daughter wanted me to. July 21st, 22nd, 27th, 28th at 7 p.m. and July 29th at 2 p.m. here at the Fridley High School District Auditorium. That completes our agenda.
Chair Meisner?
Yes.
I'd like to put a plug in. Tuesday, August 1st is Night to Unite in Fridley, so encouraging people to get out and meet their neighbors and share information on the community.
Excellent. Anything else? Thank you. I believe we're done if
Motion to adjourn.
there's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second from Puedo as our last act.
Oh, yay.
Thank you.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And we are adjourned at 8:18 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
We did that.